As we've been thinking about over these last few weeks, the story of Jesus is about resurrection and also what it looks like for us to be resurrection people. In the light of resurrection, what does that mean for us? How do we live every single day because Jesus has conquered death and because he is alive? And we thought about in this series how out of the silence of the cross, as the first followers wrestled together and on their own with the uncertain hopes, the damaged dreams that they carried with them because of their encounters with Jesus, having seen him die, having seen him put into the tomb, having seen a stone rolled over it, was this the end? Was this where everything was going to come to an end and they would have to just find something else to do with the rest of their lives? And out of the silence, as we've explored in this series, their fears began to rise. They were distracted by so many other things that were going on in their lives at that particular time. Their anxiety levels rose. Their doubt was very much part of their story, and failure became a real issue for many of them. But as we thought about during this few weeks, Jesus has something to say into all of those feelings and emotions, into the silence of all of those things that we wrestle with in our lives, that we wonder if we're ever going to come out of. Jesus has something to say. And so this morning, as we finish this series, I want to address the silence of loneliness. What does Jesus have to say when we're feeling lonely? When we're not sure if we can make it through because of that sense of aloneness that we struggle with? After all, Jesus has gone. What are the disciples going to think about their own futures? What is going to happen to them? And maybe they were wrestling in the silence with those crushing feelings that perhaps you felt in your life: abandonment, isolation, uncertainty as to what would happen next. At the end of 2023, the World Health Organization declared loneliness to be a global public health concern. And for many in our world, this can literally be a matter of life and death. Phil Knox, who works for the Evangelical Alliance in the UK, he's written a book called The Best of Friends and addressing this issue. And he says this: the global phenomenon of loneliness is everywhere, even in our churches. At their best, churches are glorious crucibles of connection. But I would guess too that most of us have felt the ache of loneliness in crowded coffee times at the end of services. And many of us struggle to progress beyond superficial conversation to the kind of depth of community that is possible. And maybe the depth of community that we long for, but we don't quite know how to make it happen. Of course, right back at the beginning in Genesis, creation was a Trinitarian experience. The Father, Son, and Holy Spirit were a community in their own right. And out of that Trinitarian community, creation exploded out of it. It wasn't an isolated thing to happen. It was a deliberate act of the Trinitarian communal God that we worship. And way back in the 17th century, John Milton, the 17th century English poet, wrote this: "It is not good that humans should be alone. Hitherto all things that have been named were approved of God to be very good. But loneliness is the first thing which God's eye named not good. It is not good for people to be alone." Whether it be a thing, John Milton goes on, or the want of something, I labor not. But he's right to point out this loneliness is part of the very beginning of our creation. And yet, out of our loneliness, Jesus says, I am with you always. And that's how he set the foundation for what would eventually become the church, the ecclesia, the called out people, the congregation, the gathering, the assemble, when God's people would come together to avoid that sense of loneliness. The whole body of believers, never intended to be a building, of course, although buildings are very, very useful to meet in, but always intended to be a people, a gathered people who would know that they're never alone. Not only that he is with us, but we are with one another. a place where Jesus is present. Now, in the Christian calendar, last Thursday was Ascension Day. It passes most of us by, I think, in the evangelical world, but of course there are countries around the world that have a day off when it's Ascension Day. My granddaughter had a day off in Finland because it's Ascension Day, which is a lovely bonus to have, isn't it, during the week. But that remembers the day when Jesus, 10 days before Pentecost, when he went back into the heavens. And the followers of Jesus were there. They gathered together. Jesus had appeared to them in various places, in resurrection glory, in a garden, around a table, in a locked room, on the beach. But now he was going. And then as they gazed up at the sky, he was gone. Luke 24 records it. When he had led them out to the vicinity of Bethany, he lifted up his hands and he blessed them. And while he was blessing them, he left them and was taken up into heaven. I love that phrase, don't you? While he was blessing them. It's like he hadn't finished blessing them. He was still going. Like any decent preacher, no matter what happens, you keep going no matter what. He was still blessing them. And while he was going, he left them and was taken up to heaven. I love this fact that the blessing doesn't stop. You know, way back in Genesis chapter 12, verse 3, you may remember that Abraham was given the blessing. Your role is to bless the nations. And here's Jesus in this moment as he ascends to heaven, blessing his followers to say, you're going to keep on being a blessing to the nations. That's your job. And you do this together with my blessing on you. It's meant to be something that continues. A sign of the presence of Jesus that goes on and on and on through his people, meeting together, gathering together. And then Luke goes on to record in Acts chapter 1, verse 9, after he said this, he was taken up before their eyes and a cloud hid him from their sight. He assured them he would come back. He would come back in the same way that they had seen him go. But for now, he's leaving us, knowing that he is with us always. His presence and his power is our gift. Jesus has spoken right into the silence of their loneliness that day and encouraged and enthused them to continue to be a reflection of his presence in the world. And surely I am with you always to the very end of the age. To the very end of the age. I mean, Jesus said he would rise from the dead, and he did. And now he's off again. The same promise given, I will come back, I will return to be with you, but in the meantime, I want you to be a people of joy. I want you to overflow with praise. I want you to receive my power. I want you to be witnesses into the whole world of what this looks like. My presence with you to the very end of the age. He'd promised it before, of course, in John chapter 14, verse 18. He said, I will not leave you as orphans. I will come to you. And we can be reassured that as he makes that promise, he fulfills that promise to each of us today. Out of the silence of loneliness, Jesus is here. Resurrection is a brand new start. A new way of being alive in the world, of how we connect with one another and how we reach out into a world that is lonely and is in need of community. I love when the angel said to the disciples, stop staring into the sky as Jesus went. Stop staring into the sky. Build your life together. Grow community. Invite others to join you, to experience it. Build a family where everyone is welcome and no one needs to be lonely in our world. So that wherever you are and whoever you are with and whatever it is you're doing, at work, at home, studying, serving, when you feel alone, remember his promise as he speaks to you in the silence. C.S. Lewis, in his book Letters to Malcolm, chiefly on prayer, he says this: we may ignore, but we can nowhere evade the presence of God. The world is crowded with him. He walks everywhere incognito, and the incognito is not always hard to penetrate. The real labor for us is to remember that he is here, to attend to the truth that he is here. In fact, to come awake to his presence, and still more, to remain awake to it as well. The beautiful promise fulfilled in our lives each day. Last Sunday, well, we've still got remnants of our 153-year celebration. We've still got cake left, as I've said as well. And as we move forward, as we continue the mission of Jesus to reach out to people, to serve others, to embrace them, then we too are reassured that he is with us as we do that as well. As we embrace those who are least in the eyes of others, as we search for the lost, as we welcome the lonely, so that out of the silence of fear, of distractions, of anxiety, of doubt, of failure, and of loneliness, we hear the words of the resurrected Jesus. We stop staring into the sky. We stop being afraid. We keep our eyes on what he is doing. We receive his peace. We keep being curious. We respond to his offer of love. And we will know that we are never alone. And that's the gospel message, isn't it? That's the gospel message we can speak, we can reveal to those who are still living in their own silences every day. And so today, if you're struggling with feelings of loneliness, Jesus is with you always. If you spot someone who's standing on their own, show them that Jesus is with them always. And together, we can speak into our world and begin to address this sense of loneliness by revealing Jesus, who is with them and with us always as he promised. Now, I've been thinking a little bit about what makes Newcastle Baptist Church. What sort of are the things that people say about us, about who we are at the moment. And I've come up with some new words, if that's okay. I'm allowed to make up words, aren't I? Everybody else does. I thought the word welcomeosity. Do you like that word? Welcomeosity. You know, the suffix, the end of that word, osity, means the quality of an action. When it's added to a word, it means it brings a quality to it. So this is like the quality of welcoming people. We're not just welcoming people out of their loneliness. We have a quality of welcoming people. Being ready and willing and expectant, looking out for someone to receive welcome from you. Luke 15:2, the story of the prodigal. Jesus was criticized by being the man who welcomes sinners and eats with them. That's what we want to be known for, isn't it? The one who welcomes people on the margins, people who are alone, and we sit and eat with them. See, he welcomes. It's an active thing to do. Then I thought about generosity. That's already a word, I know. John the Baptist, anyone who has two shirts should share with the one. It's an active word, isn't it? It's something active to do, to share with the one who has none. And anyone who has food should do the same. And then I thought about hospitality as well. A bit more of a mouthful, isn't it? The act of being hospitable. Hebrews 13. Do not forget to show, again, an active doing, hospitality to strangers. For by doing so, some people have shown hospitality to angels without knowing it. I love the Greek word for hospitality. It's philoxenia, the love of the stranger. That's the heart of the gospel message of Jesus. A countercultural act still today. To love the stranger, to welcome them around the table with us. I think all of those will make a difference to the silence of loneliness that you may feel and that others you know will feel. They reflect the love of God the Father who waits and looks ready to wrap his arms around the one who comes home. It reflects Jesus the Son who gave his life so that all may have life. And it reflects the joy of the Holy Spirit who gives gifts to everyone who asks. So maybe in a world where many feel lonely, we respond to the command of Jesus to go filled with his power, to go emboldened with his joy, to go to be witnesses to the promises of Jesus in our own lives. He is Emmanuel, isn't he? God with us. And now through his Spirit, with us to the very end of the age. So may the Lord be with you. May the Lord be with you.